Hi, good morning. My name is Craddock. Here with us is Karnika Yashwant, Mr. Key with Key Difference Media. And today we're going to talk about the strategies necessary for quality content. The reason that we want to capitalize on this and discuss this is because often, often we see clients that are putting expenditures, whether it be financial, energy, etc., into various marketing techniques and maybe doing their own content marketing or coming for content marketing. And in so doing, our content marketing has its effectiveness, right? It put content out across the web in multiple channels, and you create that domination effect. It will do what it is intended to do. But if it drives to a site that doesn't convert, or a back end that doesn't convert, or a value proposition that is missing the mark, then you have a lot of dollars up front. So as an approach, as a business that's in the business of helping clients gain our content marketing, it's imperative for us to back up a little bit when we consider a marketing plan, a content marketing plan, and a strategy, and putting together a campaign, and talk about what this is going to look like from end to end. From the moment somebody engages with you in social media, they should be getting of everything that's about you and everything that you're about. They should be receiving those unconscious, if you will, messages of your integrity, your value, and of your passion, and of what it is that you are showing up in the marketplace as. If you look across the spectrum of clients served, the 80-20 rule continues to play out, right? 80-20 says 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients and vice versa. And I think what caused this particular rule to exist in society and in life is the fact that we are all very much connected to very specific attributes of one another. Attracted, and we attract a certain type of person and a certain demograph. And in whatever profession or whatever professional that we are pursuing, that attraction is very difficult to define. And so often people just, the shotgun approach, go after the anticipating that the people that they should be attracting will show up and give them business. And oftentimes they do, and that's how a business will continue to go and profit, etc. But what makes it more powerful, what makes a campaign more powerful, what makes an approach more powerful is to be able to more clearly identify market and the people that you will naturally attract. And so when we do this and when we go through this process, what we're looking for, what we're anticipating, understand how that connection is made. And so we back up and create a strategy that allows our clients to enter the marketplace in a place where they're most likely, the people that they're most likely to attract will receive their message. And so when that message gets crafted, it has to be crafted both to present our client and themselves as a business, so that it is clear when they reach the target market that they're after, and that person consciously completely dissect or take in that message and be able to apply it and understand it and be drawn to. And at a very high level, that sounds simple. But when you get down into all the mechanics of it, it's a slippery slope, because everything from branding and the colors, font you use, etc., it all has to reflect that. So does your product, so does your service, so does your message, so do the very words, text, and colors that you use on your site, printed material. They all have to reflect the same end goal, and they all need to resonate and amplify that message, so that the more attracted to you they are, the more drawn to you they are, till they finally get to a point of conversion. Well, these strategies vary from person to business and approach to approach. You could have two businesses that do the same thing and completely separate approaches. Why? Because it has a lot to do with the personality of the business, the brand, the person behind it, the product behind it, the message behind it, etc. And so all of these elements need to be taken into consideration, and there's different ways to approach it. We discussed here on the show before, but the importance of a strategy goes beyond just trying to connect with your audience. It also has to be considered in the context of the market, in the context of the environment that you're operating in. And here's what's happening. The industry, the world is changing. Disruptive technologies, as we towards at a blazing speed, scream towards that idea of singularity, right? That idea that technology is actually going to supersede what was humans. We may not get there for a long time, but we can see the progress and we can see how it disrupts everything that's going on. And right now, what we see, the businesses who are positioned in the marketplace, even with very good assets and quality websites and things of this nature, who are missing the connection with their audience because they're no longer aligned with the channels that will bring them the business. They're speaking the same message into channels and that have shifted, that have changed, and the way the business has changed, and the way that people are connecting with one another has changed. But all the way people are perceiving what it is that we're offering. Information is now become so prolific, and the gamut of information marketers on their course, that now information needs to be seeded into something bigger, into a bigger brand, into a bigger concept, into something that does more than just teach you. And people are becoming easier and all these other things that keeps them from being able to digest your information and actually go use it. So that information has to be injected, if you will, in a more active format. And oftentimes when we're doing a campaign, it's literally the value proposition of the product or service to be evaluated first. You have to look at it and say, okay, what is it that you're doing? And in 18 months, will you still be doing it the same way and be effective? And it depends on where a business comes in this process, because sometimes we'll find a particular business or someone's in a certain niche, and that niche won't change no matter what happens in the world. And then you may get somebody who has a different business and a different niche, and you can see that it changed 18 months ago. The effect is just now starting to be felt. And more people, more and more prospects we talk to and clients that we interact with are finding that they're looking for something new. They're looking for a way to do things, and that in itself can pose a very intrepid process, because if you're looking for a different way to do, don't know where the industry has moved, and not even just your industry, but just the digital industry and people's perceptions and the way things are being ingested and analyzed, then no matter how hard you work at creating a new strategy, you very well may miss the mark because you can't figure out where you're going. And so we try to come in and give strategy. We try to cast a vision and cast a light on how things have been changed and are changing and disrupted, et cetera, and create that context so that whenever you to put together your content marketing, you're speaking in the right language to the right people, and your brand is aligned with that, but also aligned through the channels that are being utilized now and will be utilized in the coming days, coming months. There are so many things that are changing day to day. Literally, things are shifting. Artificial intelligence, just in the last month to 3 months, has come out and really started having an impact. The Internet of Things become real, and Facebook put out their automated house platform, Jarvis, and Echo and Echo Dot and Siri these different, I'm looking at my Alexa, make sure it doesn't turn on when I say your name. All of these different gadgets are redefining the channels, redefining what it means to brand and what to do with that brand and private label and a whole lot of other things. And so every single business that wants to do content marketing and wants to promote those needs to back up and say, is my product offering not just the value that it's always offered, but is it offering it in a way that it will be received on the other end in alignment with where the industry is going, with what people are expecting. So this idea of having a strategy for your content market goes way beyond just trying to figure out what the best content is and the viral content and all of that. It goes all the way back to creating a foundation from the product or service that you're selling and amplifying that in such a way that it resonates with those that you're going after. So what we have here is a case study that we just want to go through and see what we have done with someone who is in brand licensing and just kind of talk about why it is that this works in now, why this approach is the new approach that Pete here is taking, as opposed to the approach that was working a year ago, 2 years ago, etc. And you'll see through this case study that this is an exciting shift that Pete has taken, because what he is doing, putting brands with manufacturers and creating brand licensing so that a manufacturer who manufactures consistently can have several different faces in the marketplace in order to receive business through different channels. He also turns it around and with brands who have built up a significant brand, he finds products that they can also put their brand on and add more revenue streams to what they're doing. And as we continue to see the unfolding and the disruption of different aspects of the market, we see that brand licensing is going to play a bigger role than it ever did. I believe that brand licensing is going to become much more even of an entrepreneur's strategy. And so everything that we have done in this process of repositioning Pete to be able to take advantage of both corporate opportunities as well as individual opportunities and individual inventors is kind of encapsulated in what we did with his redesign. And we're going to go through that and just talk a little bit about the process utilizing Pete's awesome platform and what he now has to offer on the web, which leads right back to everything that he's been professionally developing over the years and succeeding at in the marketplace. He can now still bring that to the table, but through channels that are going to have less resistance due to the shift and the way things have changed and the way perceptions have changed and the way that this connection is being made. So he's a brand licensing expert who connects quality manufacturers and exciting brands, and his clients leverage their brands and products to create winning relationships in the marketplace. And I will tell you a little secret: at the core of content marketing, at the core of digital presence, at the core of business in general, in the near future and in the coming days, is this idea of relationships and connections. Connections that are not only automatic, but also are well-informed. Big data is informing artificial intelligence, and that's a path that larger businesses at this time are able to take advantage of and leverage the high computing power of AI backed by big data to be able to figure out where their prospects are and what they're doing and how they can intersect with them. But in the coming days, that's going to continue to trickle down to where we're all going to be approaching our content and our connections and our business in this very similar manner. And so that idea of relationships is imperative, and we'll talk more about that as we unfold. So, Key, this slide here, let's talk a little bit about the problem that the shift of everything around Pete's business created with him trying to connect with those prospects that he already knows he can help, and that naturally are attracted to him. Because with a scattered product selection and confusing navigation, his previous site boasted of basically no sales at this juncture, where it at one time was active, went to nothing, yet nothing changed on his end. How that environment affected what he was doing is the very beginning of where we start, so we can come up with a solution and a way to take him to the next place.
Right. So even before it comes to the part of people visiting him and his site, the big question is his site, or is any website in this, if anyone that's using, is it ready for accepting new sales? Is it good for converting? Is it clear? Is it concise? Is the messaging very focused on whom it's trying to target? And is it also ensuring that people who come at one point, they're taken from one place to another within the site in a seamless manner, that they feel it's a journey rather than trying to figure a way out of a maze? So when people have difficulty going through a site, and if they cannot find what they need quicker, they're going to drop off, they're going to jump off, and you're not going to have engagement in the first place, let alone sales and other things that's coming later. So when we started working on his site, our major focus was to ensure everything is clear from the start. Simplicity, removing all the clutter, ensuring that instead of having dozens of products, we just need to have one or few products which are very focused. If someone is not ready to buy a $10 product, they might not be ready to buy a $10,000 product in the first place. There is no point showing them about a $10,000 product if in your industry that is not a practice. If you think in your industry people just go directly jump on a $10,000 product, great, put that in the front, let's just talk about that. Otherwise, let's focus on a proper funnel where we give them some value before we expect something back from them. So the existing site did not do any of that. The opt-in process was broken, and people were not able to properly get into the funnel. The funnel was not properly in existence. They basically had an opt-in which was supposed to take them to other products, but the entire chain was kind of messed up. So leads were being lost in the process, and people who were expecting emails to come, the emails were not coming. So it was a chaos. So that's where it all started. And the surprising factor is they were ranking #1 in Google for a bunch of keywords related to brand licensing. So that is a lot of traffic, and all that traffic is coming to their site. It is getting lost right in their homepage, which is which is a very bad position to be in. So that's where it all started, James.
And one of the trends on the web, if you've noticed, that websites are really starting to become uniform in this manner, is that clear navigation, simple navigation, staying on page navigation, and pictures and images, because they are so powerful, are being given more real estate on most sites in order to convey at a higher level the information, the message, and the influence, the brand, if you will. And so as we go through this, you'll see some of this conversion. So here was a few screenshots from the original website that at one time it made sense and it worked well, but as it was used and utilized and maybe not tended to the way it needed to be, it created that havoc. So #1 in Google, driving people to the site, and then they get lost in trying to connect. And people want to connect, and they want to connect fast. They want to know that that solution is going to work for them from the moment they land on your site. There are some who teach you have less than 3 seconds, right, to engage somebody. But from there, you can't lose any of the step of the way of the customer journey, because we're all ADD. We're all attention deficit challenge, because there's so much to do and so many places to go, right? And so this was the original, and then we had a process where we blueprinted their brand, and we built an effective platform in a way that the previous website just wasn't engineered for that. When it was built, the technology and the tools weren't even available to put the kind of look on it that that we're able to now. And what's interesting is a lot of people, when it comes to the digital space, it's a significant investment of time, resources, and energy, because you got to stay on top of what is current, simply so that your perception comes across. As the web evolves and matures, it literally changes the way people digest information. It influences them, and as the giants, from Google and Microsoft to Facebook and other social platforms, as they come up with different ways to engage us, that on a very cultural level changes the way we will accept information. And to a degree, if we don't get the information the same way that status quo is starting to put it out, then we literally shut it off and we move on to something else. And if we can't find what we're looking for in a channel that is tuned to that, we'll just move on. Maybe we'll even do without, and we'll change, our focus. So we brought all of this together into a full content marketing strategy, so Pete could reach even more leads by connecting with his prospects right where they are, and starting from the ground up, we rebuilt his digital presence that he's now using to grow his business. So that's our process. There was a complete digital rebranding. We went from the yellow that you saw on the screen before to creating colors that identified with Pete. Pete is an ex-Navy P-3 Orion pilot. He is a man of high integrity. He runs his business with the same type of values that were instilled in him as a military man. And he also recognizes how much integrity he has to have to interact with people like Coca-Cola, Nike, and the Olympics, etc. And that needs to come through. And so by taking and utilizing the color scheme that we have here, we are not masking who Pete is and his team and his product. We are amplifying it. We are clarifying it and making it so that whoever's on the other end totally recognizes that Pete is the right man for the job. So we did a complete digital rebranding. We focused on all of these elements and broadcasting them and putting them in front of his prospects so that they know this is the person that I'm looking for. This is the product that's going to do what I need to fix the problem that I have. So we rebuilt his website, we rebuilt his back-end process, we rebuilt the membership site, we gave him a consistent brand across all the printed materials, logo design, etc. And we made everybody on his team very happy. Let's see. About the website rehaul. We developed the new website, appealing to his audience, establishing his professional image, and bringing up his digital presence to meet what his company and he himself represent. And that's a shame when the asset that you have, your website, is out there on the internet and it is there for everybody to see, and it doesn't amplify you. It doesn't take the core of who you are and really show it. Instead, it's a shame when it detracts from it and possibly even casts an invalid light on who you are and what you can offer, because so much stock is put into the interaction that we have in the digital space. So we created an interactive, streamlined layout, both easy on the eyes and simple to navigate. And let me just make a point here. Even though your product may be complex, even though this is high-level stuff that Pete is dealing with, and the people that he interacts with are very high-level executives, simplicity still rules the day, because that's the way we as humans are taught to digest information. And to the simplicity and the clarity is what allows us to, first of all, become emotional and connected, and second of all, to act upon those emotions and that connectivity. So as the site's new color scheme reflected, as I said before, Pete's personality and character. We built a simple sign-up process. We used image-rich pages, sleek professional layout, all of the things that are current, modern, and up to the standard. Key, you're on the technical side of things, the science side of content. You want to elaborate on some of these details?
Right. So when it comes to the modern times, designing a website is not just about the design. Design is a primary factor, but the technology behind it also matters. The user experience, the way someone perceives the site, everything has a part in how you go about your sales process. For example, a website has to be very fast because Google likes fast websites, and that's one of their criteria for rating a sites and ranking it higher. So it has to be fast, and to make it faster you have many ways. You can have a CDN connected to it, a content delivery network. You could have a caching system, and you can optimize it in 300 different ways. But doing it and ensuring that the site loads the way it has to load and has the things where people expect it to be makes a lot of difference. So let's assume that someone visits your site. They expect your logo to be either in the center or on the left side, and they know that your entire site navigation is going to be on the top, and the way you're going to be using it. The user experience has a predefined format. It has something like a framework in users' mind that they function with. And if you do not meet the framework, they get confused. So we also always assume that the visitor, whoever is visiting the site, needs to have the information communicated in a very basic format. So they could be really learned, and they could understand everything. They could even be tech geeks, but just because they're geeks, you cannot present to them a bunch of technical stuff which are hard to navigate, because you cannot always assure that the people visiting are in their right mindsets to process a complex information. So for example, when we organize their membership site, it's as simple as someone goes there, someone opens it, here's the login screen, you go in, and when you go there, you see a welcome page, and then you move on to the next page. You don't have to even go to the navigation. All you have to do is click next, finish a free video or a course that's given there, click next, go to the next lesson, and go to the next one, go to the next one until you're done. You don't have to think. Remove thinking out of the experience. The longer or the more a person has to think, lesser he's going to be there, because thinking adds to the stress. Thinking adds to the difficulty of engaging with your site or with your product. So it is not just about design. It's not just about the technology. It is about the psychology of how people think, how people process, what they expect, how they want it to be, and how can you make their life easier. Pete is making lives of the business owners and the manufacturers easier, and he's doing a great job at it. It is our responsibility from our side to ensure every business owner also reflects the same quality of their delivery to their customers in their website, because the way people judge, if they find that website is broken, they would also think the service of yours is going to be broken, which is a wrong assumption. But people judge book by its cover, and it is essential to ensure that there's a good cover for every book out there. And that is an example with your website, with all your digital presence. If someone finds your Facebook page and that is messed up, then of course your service is going to be messed up. That's their assumption. Whether it's right or wrong is, it doesn't matter. That's what they are going to think. So here we have Pete's core offers are all packed into a membership site. So this is a strategic piece here. He had dozens and dozens of products. It's great having so many different products, and the opportunity of sales are so many, but unfortunately it works against the sales cycle. People are confused. Okay, they come here, they don't know which one to start. If I'm a basic user, what do I do? If I'm an intermediate guy, if I go into one of your products, what if I miss something in the basics? So do I buy everything? And if I'm buying everything, do I go through separate sales cycles so many times? So there are so many confusions there. So we did this membership option where there's a first package, the first stage in membership, which is a free one. Anyone can sign up. That is the only thing which we push. You go here, just enter your name, email address, you get your access to the free membership where you're where you're given all information about what is brand licensing. You're educated about it. And then, James, I think you can continue on the 4 stages and the offerings on the different level.
Sure. I want to just also say along that line of clarity and ease of use, and even identifying your prospect to such a point. What happens here, and Keith mentioned it there, cognitively, we don't make decisions really cognitively. We do it unconsciously. we have, throughout our lives and throughout our experiences, we have built an infrastructure, an unconscious infrastructure that we rely on, and that really guides us, and it's the thing that a marketer needs to speak to, that unconscious process of a person. Well, if you have a lack of clarity, and as Keith put it, if you have to work at going through a process, even just the idea of being offered more than one choice can often add to that cognitive disrupt. What you're doing is you're causing the mind to focus in that cognitive place, and it shuts the door to the unconscious connection that you really need to make. So the sleeker and the better the design, and the more we can speak to that unconscious level, the more successful the message will be, because that's really what you're trying to do, is get past that cognitive gatekeeper and put that message in the unconscious realm in order to gain traction. And did I go, maybe I went one too many. Was there more on that last one you wanted to connect on at the bottom?
Yeah, just give them a brief on the 4 different levels of membership and why it is structured the way it is.
Well, I'm not going to take you through all the levels of membership where you don't fully understand what each, but the membership levels, let me give you this broad overview. It allows us to communicate with people. Like he said, there's a free membership level that really has some amazing information. If you are interested in understanding brand licensing, that starts to acclimate you that, yes, you are tuned into the right channel. And then beyond that, when we engage with someone and with information, and we build into them the value of understanding and give them footholds, if you will, in order to secure in their minds that they're in the right place, they have the right information, and they're growing from it, they're learning from it. When we do that, what we're doing is we're sharing the experience, and we're creating a level of connection that is stronger than when they walked in the door. And like he said, you can't sell them a $10,000 product if you don't take them to that point. And this is common knowledge, nothing new, right? But that free membership site gave them an introduction to the environment that is Pete Canalicchio, that is his product, that is his brand representation, and everything about it. And as you go through those trainings in the free membership, and it's, not cognitively hard to do, and you're being unconsciously connected with Pete, what happens is you're kind of being, the prospect is being prepared to make a much higher commitment to Pete, so that in that same environment of the membership site, as they go through their training, they know that there is a much greater engagement level available to them at a set price. And by the time they get to the end of that free membership information, if they weren't before, if that person is now acclimated and totally aware that the dollar amount for the next value proposition is worth it. And it makes sense, and it takes away the emotional objector. It takes away the logical objector in the scenario. It takes away the critic in the scenario. And so having that free level brings them to that second place where they can completely do everything themselves, if you will, done for you type of an approach, with the information in the second level that has a price tag associated with it, because of the value that person has. Gives them access to resources, all of the forms that they would need, etc. But we also understand that human nature is such that when approaching something you're not a professional at, yes, we may be willing or maybe limited by budget to do it ourselves. But the true reality is we all want it done for us. We want someone to engage at a higher level and take the responsibility of knowing just the steps to take, especially in something such as what Pete offers, because it could be a 12 to 18-month process and a significant investment across the entire spectrum of the company to make this happen and to make it happen right, and to ensure that ROI is built into whatever brand licensing deal you're working on. That's where Pete shines, getting him involved in your process. Well, by bringing somebody through this process, maybe they already understand brand licensing and they're just looking for somebody that can be a partner with them. All that free stuff and all that first level stuff does is it validates that this is the connection they're looking for. But for somebody that is not as in tune, it also at the same time, using the same approach and the same assets, it leads them through that process to where they get to be recognizing, hey, this is where I need to be and this is who I need to be connected to. And then I think in the final level, we offer opportunity in this funnel for Pete to not only engage them professionally, but also do some consulting, do some speaking, and do some things that may be a little more ancillary to the very specific process of becoming of a brand licensing engagement, something that are services that he offers, but don't necessarily affect the step-by-step process. So by going through these 4 different levels and allowing the prospect or the client or whoever's on the other end to engage with him this way, they see his expertise, they see his that he can be trusted. They allow that brand to saturate them and bring them to a place where when they finally shake Pete's hand, they finally meet Pete in person, that exchange, that value exchange isn't so hard for them to get across, because they recognize, hey, this right here is the trigger. I simply pay the fee, I simply engage, I simply sign up, I simply do this, and I'm going to be brought across the bridge of what I'm looking for. So it's exciting, and we're very excited for this whole process for Pete, because it also means his content marketing and the things that he puts out there on the web are going to resonate with exactly what happens on the back end. And when someone meets him on social media and meets him and engages with his content out there, we know that they are going to get the same experience all the way through. It's just going to be at more and more connected levels. And the result is that it naturally filters out those who don't need to be there or didn't intend to be there or whatever the case may be. And it magnifies the connection and the connectability between the people that will eventually become Pete's clients and Pete and his team and what they do. So it's again, and the whole idea behind this particular webinar is to get it into you that a strategy is imperative, recognizing what your product does, who you're talking to, and how you're going to go about distributing that message is just as important as every little piece of content that you create to put out. So after the conversion optimized website is created, after the back end membership site is created, and all of these strategies are put in place so that once we get someone in our circle of influence, we're able to convert, we're able to engage them, we're able to offer them more value than they ever possibly expected. We need a way to drive people to that, and we want to drive the people that are most likely to convert, targeted traffic. And we do that with content because that's the way the web is now positioned. That's what the search engines are looking for. But it's also because that is one of the most valuable aspects of high conversion. And it's a team effort. It's the messaging in the content, knowing what the conversion process is going to be like on the back end. So we took Pete's content and rebranded, repurposed, and distributed that across a multitude of channels to create a strong presence wherever his audience is. And we built a complete marketing sequence along with developing a streamlined automated process to increase engagement. The two work hand in hand. And we still are utilizing, we haven't reinvented we're still utilizing landing pages and autoresponders and email sequences. We still understand the value of that. We still create content according to the format of each platform that has to be put out there. But we built a bridge, if you will, an unconscious bridge. We built that in the messaging so that, when they come in from one channel and move across that bridge into the platform, that they haven't lost any continuity. So Pete now has automated thank you emails and a follow-up sequence that pushes leads. It populates his CRM. Now, imagine adding salespeople to this entire process. Here you have an automated process that brings people in, nurtures them, converts them at some level, and engages them, gives them an opportunity to see that you know how to do what you're doing, allows them to engage with you at higher levels. But that's only a portion of it. The ability to bring all of that and bring it back into a CRM and allow salespeople to be able to go into that CRM and know exactly what they're going to say and how they're going to approach someone in a follow-up call is gold. It's invaluable. And how do we do that? We don't have little snippets in the CRM that says, say this. What we have is an intrinsic brand that runs throughout the entire business, that runs across all of social media, that runs throughout the membership site. It's a customer journey that never breaks. So that when a salesperson engages, they know where in the process that their prospects are. And because they know where in the process they know pretty much what they're thinking and what their environment is like, and at what level they've engaged, so that they know how much of Pete's integrity they have consumed and are aligned with. They know how much of the brand influence and what we can do is already instilled in them. And every step of the way is identified and defined in such a way that you could simply enter the process at any point, talk to a prospect, and know the right way to engage them. And if you can do that, what happens is over time, you're able to find the right methods, the right words, and the right approaches to increase your conversions with salespeople. And now you can make your salespeople that much more dynamic. You can bring in salespeople that, as hard as it is to find good salespeople, you can find salespeople that you can train, because you're not trying to train them on every aspect of being a sales rep so much as you're simply teaching them to engage with your clients and your prospects at a very specific level, in a very specific environment, and they know where to take them. They know where to go, because it's the same whether I do it in person, we do it on the web, do it through the membership site, whatever the case may be, it's always the same process. And so this creates clarity that goes even beyond the campaign level. At the end here, we transition Pete and his team. So with this, with a complete rebranding, with a website that converts, with social media that really drives home that message, it was imperative that all their operations on the back end also had the same kind of fluidity and connectivity. And we find Google Apps is integrated both into the process as well as their back end system, and what we do with them, et cetera, and how they engage their customers. We find Google Apps to be a wonderful platform for leveraging this kind of interaction as a team. So we transitioned him to Google Apps. We recreated his original company site, improved that overall layout. We put him out on social media. We brought everything together, but then we made sure that when Pete interacts with his business, that everything is seamless then as well. Whether it's communication between the team or team and client, whatever the case may be, Google Apps was kind of the icing on the cake. The resulting is that Pete's online presence was transformed on every level. His brand's been rebuilt from the ground up. We literally put that brand across every asset that he has, and Pete, being a brand licensing expert, is fully aware, and he often likes to say you're preaching to the choir, because he understands the power of clarity and the power of integrity in the message across all his assets, across how it looks and how it gets represented, all the way down to what people say on the telephone. So now his poorly performing and outdated website became a highly optimized, engaging sales machine with a first-class membership and product experience, improved conversion rates, brand relationships, and finally, Pete's efficient extended reach engagement strategy is proving to be a critical tool in his arsenal for success. Sounds like we wrote that on purpose. Let's take a look at some of the transformations that took place here. Key, take us through a few of these, because what I see here is.
So basically, when we are doing this entire rebranding and transformation, it is not just the websites, social media, corporate identity, logo, and things like that. It has to start and it has to finish with every asset in the business. So Pete had close to 100 different files, which are PDFs, slides, presentations, teaching materials, videos, audios, bunch of these materials which he uses in the membership site. And some of them are, and I think it ended up with 3,000-4,000 different pages with 1,000+ graphics, and it was a huge exercise of converting everything from the old branding and the old structure to a newer one, which is more efficient. If you see the first image on the top, you can see Pete is focused and featured there. It clearly shows who the guy behind this entire thing is. The guy who's whose experience and whose material this is. That featuring is there. It's clear. It's concise, and the branding is simple. And on the materials, the content is not very crowded. Like the left is the previous one. You could see the page has so much of content. It's hard to read, hard to digest. It's easier to read a page with lesser text, bigger text, and going through the book with extra few pages than going through a book which appears like a school book, which is so hard to read and so much to read. It just gives us a headache to go through it. So the book is the entire PDFs are made easier to read, easier for him to process for anyone who reads it, and all that adds to the experience of a user going through the membership site. We don't want him frustrated at one point because it breaks the sales cycle. If we fail at any one area, it is the end of end of losing the lead, end of losing the customer lifetime value there. So that's it from my side, James.
So we just again say what does Pete enjoy out of all of this this repositioning, and that's increased exposure and engagement with an online presence of over 50 different digital channels. He's encouraged conversions with a strong, effective marketing funnel, redesigned and repackaged lead magnet and products, professional, efficient, and optimized marketing automation, powerful new brand image, and relationships. And that is the key. All of this is intended to allow Pete to have more relationships, to increase the number of engagements and the connections that he makes, because once somebody finds out what Pete does and can do, and his team and the level that they do it at, they're sold. They're if they need Pete's service, they're gonna utilize Pete. But if that message gets lost in the process, then it does a disservice to him and his company. So the rest of this case study, and this is this is a level of case study that we put together for clients, of course, to show strategy is totally custom. There are cookie cutter approaches, and there are things about putting a strategy in place that follow convention. But those conventions change with the conventions change, and then they get whittled down. What the world and in today's market and in this climate of disruption, knowing that today Facebook is a giant, and 16 months from now they could be passed by the next giant to come on the scene. We have to be astute to that, and you have to be in tune to that to ensure that the message that you put out there, and the money and the time and the effort and the energy that you put behind pronouncing that message, is going to sustain during these transitions for the foreseeable future. And so that is, I encourage you, as you look at across your marketing platform, across anything that you're currently doing, take a look and ask yourself, are we missing something here and there? Are we out of tune in some area? Is our website out of tune? Is our sales funnel out of tune? Are we doing things exactly like everybody else? I'll give you a little hint. If you're doing things the same way today that you were 12 months ago, 18 months ago, but I'd even go so near as 12 months ago, you need to take a look and upgrade in different areas and refocus your strategy, because so much has changed in those 12 months that you may not even be aware of the fact that you are doing a great job on the back end, but you're announcing to the world, you think you're announcing to the world, and your information is not getting as high as the ceiling. You're not getting out of the room that you're in because nobody can hear you, due to all of these things that need to be aligned and realigned. And check out his site and go through the experience. And from there, we'd love to that works for you and your business as well.